Okay, picture this. How does someone go from a rural village in Nepal to conquering the hyper-competitive, notoriously tough New York real estate market? Well, today we're unpacking the really incredible journey of Govinda Lama. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to extract the absolute core insights from his foundational book, Brick by Brick. We'll be breaking down exactly how he views wealth, taxes, and daily execution in a way that, honestly, anyone can understand and apply to their own life. Lama's whole philosophy begins with this really profound mindset shift. He says real estate is not just an investment option, it is the true foundation for every living being. Now, that is a completely different perspective, right? He's arguing that it's not just a stock ticker or a passive side hustle. It completely reorients how we should be looking at the very concept of wealth building. So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 5 key areas: the foundation of wealth, the education gap, real estate tax secrets, the 7 golden rules, and finally, the 4 L's framework. All right, jumping right in with section 1, the foundation of wealth, or the origin of a skyscraper. Imagine being just 8 years old. For Lama, the immense financial burden of building a stupa for his late aunt at that age triggered a massive shift in him. It actually changed his drive from simply wanting to get rich to needing to build a permanent financial defense mechanism. You have to remember, he was born into a large family of 14 siblings, so those financial pressures were incredibly real. But he always had this builder's mindset. By 1996, he was already starting English institutes in Nepal. And even when he arrived in the United States and was working behind the counter at a McDonald's, that relentless drive never left him. Think about what we actually need to literally just survive. Food? That requires agricultural fields. Shelter requires housing built on the physical earth. Clothing requires textiles, which are sourced from land resources. Even medicine requires physical laboratories, factories, and hospitals. Lama anchors his entire real estate philosophy to this basic reality. Every single other industry is built on top of physical land. Because of that, real estate is the literal root of all wealth in the economy. Moving on to section 2, the education gap. Let's talk about the employee versus the owner mindset. Okay, this is a massive revelation, and it highlights a core divide in how we're taught about money. Standard education trains us to be compliant employees, right? The government takes its cut directly from your salary before it ever even hits your bank account, and you just have to survive on whatever is left over. But an owner collects their revenue, invests in valid business expenses to grow their assets first, and then, only then, do they pay taxes on whatever profit is left over at the very end. Because of this knowledge gap, millions of hardworking people are just trapped in a cycle. They're completely missing out on the legal mechanisms designed specifically to reward property ownership over hourly wage labor. I mean, we're taught to be excellent at passing interviews, right? We're taught how to make a budget. But without knowing the language of balance sheets, zoning laws, or strategic debt, you are basically playing the game with half the rulebook. Which brings us to section 3, real estate tax secrets. This is the real wealth engine. The engine really starts with depreciation, which is often called a phantom expense. This is a super powerful IRS tool where you legally show a loss on paper to reduce your taxable income. And here's the crazy part. You do this even while your property's actual market value and rental income are going up. The IRS basically assumes your building is physically degrading over 27.5 years for a residential property or 39 years for commercial. So they just let you write off that degradation. Now, you might be thinking this is only for massive commercial skyscrapers, but it's not. Look at this number, $500,000. That is the tax-free capital gains exemption a married couple can claim when selling a primary residence. For single folks, it's a $250,000 exemption. It literally transforms simple, everyday homeownership into an incredible, tax-sheltered savings plan where a huge chunk of your profit is entirely legally protected from the IRS. But what if you're going bigger? Well, for larger investments, the 1031 exchange is basically the ultimate wealth cheat code. Instead of selling an investment property and getting hammered with a massive capital gains tax bill, you roll those profits directly into a bigger, better property. You keep all your capital working for you, you're constantly trading up, and you push your tax bill endlessly into the future. So you might be wondering, what eventually happens to all those deferred taxes? Well, this is where the stepped-up basis comes in. When an owner passes away, the property's tax basis steps up to the current market value, which means all those taxes you deferred over a lifetime of 1031 exchanges, they are effectively wiped out for your heirs. Gone. This right here is exactly how financial dynasties create and protect generational wealth, completely tax-free. And get this, if you have a fixed-rate mortgage, inflation actually becomes your best friend. Seriously, think about it. A wage earner gets crushed by inflation because their static salary buys less and less at the grocery store every year. But a property owner? Their tenants are paying more in rent to match inflation, the property value goes up, but their monthly mortgage payment to the bank, it stays exactly the same as it was 10 years ago. Inflation is actively eroding their real debt. All right, let's move to Section 4, the 7 Golden Rules. This is Lama's execution playbook.
Lama forged these rules in New York, so they are strict. Rule 1. You have to know your market way deeper than public tools like Zillow. You must be an insightful advisor, not just an agent. Rule 4. Leveraging AI and 3D tech, that's not optional anymore. It's a survival necessity. Rule 6 is huge. Build a team. If you try to play Superman and do all the paperwork, the showings, and the negotiations completely alone, you're gonna burn out. Use specialized attorneys, use inspectors. And Rule 7, your personal branding absolutely must be rooted in strict integrity.
That actually leads right into this core philosophy, which shifts the focus entirely away from chasing quick deals and toward building a sustainable business. He says a transaction can last weeks, but a strong relationship lasts a lifetime, because real estate is fundamentally a trust business. If you safeguard your clients' interests above your own commission, they literally become your lifelong marketing team. One deeply satisfied, happy client will naturally bring you 10 referrals over a lifetime. Finally, Section 5, the 4 L's framework. How do we structure our daily action? To actually put all of this into practice, Lama uses the 4 L's. It's a daily, step-by-step routine that cuts right through the noise. It is so easy to get distracted in real estate, but these 4 pillars keep you totally focused on growth and income-producing activities every single day.
First up, we have Learn and Lead. He strictly mandates 45 minutes of daily study. Why? Because the more you learn, the more you earn. You have to read up on the new zoning laws, the latest market reports, current financing rates, and then, armed with that knowledge, you transition right into leading. That means proactively reaching out to your network and marketing your brand with real authority, instead of just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring.
Next up is listing and leverage. Securing a listing is like this incredibly powerful magnet that attracts more buyers and sellers to you. It acts as a public portfolio, proving your competence to the entire market. But to handle the sheer volume that a good listing generates, you simply cannot do it all manually. You must leverage CRM software, utilize the MLS, hire virtual assistants for those repetitive tasks, and really lean on your specialized team to keep the whole machine running smoothly. When you put it all together, Gobinda Lama's journey really proves something important. Whether you started in a rural village in Nepal or working the counter at a McDonald's in America, success is not just luck. Committing to an owner's mindset, deeply understanding the financial system we live in, and relentlessly applying an actionable framework, that's the real blueprint. Where you start absolutely does not dictate where you finish. So I want to leave you with one final thought to consider as you look at your own path. Which rulebook are you actually playing by? Are you building your life as an employee, just surviving on whatever the system leaves you after taxes? Or are you ready to step up, act like an owner, and start building your permanent foundation brick by brick? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.